Hey, listen up, everybody.
And every Sunday, she tells him she's in church, but she doesn't go. Still, she's on her knees, and Scotty doesn't know. Oh, Scotty doesn't know. Oh, so don't tell Scotty.
Welcome, guys. Tonight we're going to be talking about England and their Euro hopes for 2021. So me, Shane and Tom are going to be chatting tonight. Tom, if you want to introduce yourself.
Alright guys, I'm a winger for West Woking FC, scored 1 goal in 8. Used to play for Hardley Athletic, where I managed to throw up 4 times on the pitch in one season. New club record. They're going to erect a statue of me.
Absolutely beautiful. And our second host, Shane, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
So, I don't know about introducing myself, but I guess I'm former player manager of A-Side FC, GCSE PFC. Regular football watcher. Don't know much about the game, but act like I do, I guess. And yeah, excited to get into this. Yeah.
I would also like to add that I have my first FA coaching badge.
Okay, well, that's a real notable accolade, I guess. Okay, so if we're going to get into it, starting off proceedings, I reckon we talk about first why there's such a buzz around the England team at the moment and why the bookies are actually... England are odds-on favourites to actually win the Euros in 2021. Why is this?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, for me at least, I'm an incredibly unsuccessful but frequent gambler. And I know that, bets determine the price. So maybe this is this whole aftershock of the World Cup and it's coming home and we could have done it. And now we look, I think, like a lot better team. We don't have Phil Jones playing for us and stuff like that. So maybe I think people are putting money on, and that's what's driven the price down. Like, I think we're ahead of Belgium, France, Germany, which is kind of mad. But I guess when you look at the talent we have on pitch, it makes sense. I mean, we've got a lot going for us. So
it does make sense, yeah. And Tom, what's changed in the last decade, which has put us from a position of being disappointed every competition to where we actually now we almost started the last World Cup with less hope than what we usually would, and we overachieved. So has that put us in good stead or poor stead for this next competition?
I mean, I think that's it. In 2014, when we did it awfully and went out in the group stages, we had Gerrard and Lampard, and they were far too old to be starting every game. And for like the decades before that, we'd been reliant on them. And then we had the transitional tournament, the Euros in 2016, and we were awful. Like, that was when we were sort of between eras.
And
we got all the youth
I think a lot of it,
the new generation.
A lot of it was Rooney. Like, we were hanging on to like this player who had been exceptional for the past 2 decades, and coming into that 2014 or 2016 when we lost to Iceland.
2016 Euro.
2016 when we lost to Iceland. I think that put all England's hopes rock bottom, and to see how the team has developed from that year, where we were like relying on Sturridge and Rooney. We had no signs of success in English football really at the time, and I think that really was dampening English fans' spirits. So to then come out in 2018 in Russia and actually get to the semi-finals, I think that has put us, everyone, in a position of, we can achieve something with this set of players, and it's not putting... I don't think there's too much pressure on these young lads' shoulders because a lot of them are young. Okay, so that brings me on to the next point of captaincy. Kane as a captain, do you actually support him? Do you actually support his captaincy?
I'm not really one to... I don't like strikers being captain. It annoys me. Should always be a defender and midfielder. They can see the game a lot more. They actually understand the game a lot more. If you look at like the best managers in the world, none of them will be strikers. I feel like you need a midfielder or a defender like Henderson or Maguire. I think would be much more suited to the role.
Yeah, I think
he leans on the pitch.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think the reason why Kane got the captaincy was down to his talent. Obviously, he's a very, very good player, but when he got the captaincy, he was the only guy that is the first on the team sheet, sort of thing. Since then, you've obviously seen guys like Henderson go on to win the Champions League, win the Premier League. You've got, I know Maguire's a dodgy
candidate.
Yeah, exactly, dodgy candidate. But he's shown leadership qualities at Manchester United. He's shown leadership qualities at Leicester. He's in with a shout. And then you've got, a wide range of other players that are well up for it and well there for it. But I think
once you give a player a captaincy, especially a player like Harry Kane, who's going to be in the team sheet no matter what, I don't know where.
I feel like
How do you take that away from him? At the end of the day,
exactly. He is probably the most reliable player at the moment, and
He's probably the only player with a nailed-on squad.
Exactly, and that is probably why he's got captaincy. But to be honest, I really see Jordan Henderson as the only candidate that seems like the most appropriate, because of like he's actually a winner. Like not a lot of the England team have won anything. I guess Trent. But he's so young himself. You wouldn't give something like that to a person like that. I just feel like having won something, he like validates his. If he was given the opportunity to be captain, I don't know. That's my opinion anyway.
Oh, but come the summer, Harry Kane might have a Carabao Cup. So.
Exactly. You never know. I guess you never know. Talking about young players like Trent. The main topic of this whole thing is how do we fit all of England's young talent into a squad who during the previous tournament, a lot of people solidified their position in the team. So how does a young player work their way into that team?
Yeah, I think it has to be performance based. I think you have to judge them on their form this season, the amount of games they've played, and their ability to show up in big games at the end of the day. There are a couple young players that are coming through that play consistently, play at a decent level, and play against big opponents and have good games. I know there are some players that every young player deserves to be, or that's in contention deserves to be on that plane just to get the experience, because a lot of the young players that we'll end up mentioning won't play. But at the same time, there are players that, I don't know, can offer that little different bit when it comes to, the 80th minute and it's a draw or whatever, can come on and change a game or can come on and solidify a game, I guess. So I think it's maybe the value prospect and based on their form, in my opinion.
It's an interesting one.
He just sort of got to play the best 11. It's not the time to risk with young players. Maybe bring him on late, but do that in the qualifiers, do that in the friendlies. Don't do that in a big tournament. Bring him along for the experience, sure. They're definitely good enough to be squad players, and there are a few of them should probably be in the starting 11. But whether or not he should start all of them is another question. Just decent experience, because we're actually in a point now of the England team as well where we don't have very many good old players. Like you look at all the best England players that are over 30, and Vardy's probably the only one, but he's retired from international football now. And then Henderson, is he 29 or 30 now? He's getting
there, yeah.
And Maguire maybe you could put in that bracket, but barring that, it's a very young squad, so I need to make sure they actually get in a few more experienced heads. I think that's what they got to worry more about than youth. Need some older players, if anything. Just even if they're not starting, just having a dressing room and just help the younger players get through it.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting to consider the expectation going into it as well. I mean, everybody wants to win trophies, but if you've got a squad that in 2 years or 1 year or whenever this weird World Cup that's going on at a weird time is happening, we can go to that World Cup with a very similar squad to this Euros and obviously feel the benefits of that. And that can springboard maybe a proper World Cup win where we've got a squad that knows who they are, how they play, etc.
And to be honest, I think that will probably be the best thing that comes out of this tournament. The fact that in the last 2 years, we've had such a choppy, changey team. We need this tournament to kind of solidify who is actually the hard hitters and who are actually there to potentially challenge for the trophy, if not challenge for the World Cup in a couple of years' time. A year's time even, or whenever it is, like you say. But yeah, we're going into this tournament not knowing what the formation is, what the starting 11 is. We no one truly has an idea, and I don't think Southgate even knows. He's just probably gonna bring Dyer on. Who we kidding?
Yeah. Seriously,
he's got.
If Eric Dyer gets on that plane.
Disgusting. So moving on, we're gonna look at me, Shane, and Tom decided to put together a 23 who we're going to take on the plane. Well, we're not even taking it on the plane, are we? It's basically going to be a coach, maybe. I've heard today they might not host all of it, but it's looking like Boris is trying to push most of it being sorted here, so it might not be taken on a plane. Nevertheless, we're going to look at our 23. There's a lot of positions here that seem pretty solid. So starting off in goal, pretty solidified positions there, I reckon. Who do you think's who would you prefer, Pope or Pickford?
Pope.
Yeah, I'd say Pope. I mean, he's the most consistent sort of keeper. I think Henderson, ability-wise, in my opinion, is the most able keeper in the picks, but he's not going to get the game time for him to really be with a shout.
I'd probably agree, to be fair. After last season and seeing how Sheffield have dropped such a significant amount this season, it probably is down to players such as him who now is just warming the bench at United and
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And he the thing is, he comes on like in our sort of Europa League games and our off-league games, and he's showing signs that he is 100% better than De Gea. But obviously, when you pay a player 400 grand a week, or I think it's 500 grand a week, you're obviously going to play him because
the boss isn't going to be happy seeing the guy
right.
being paid $500,000 a week sitting on the bench, is he? Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I think we can all agree,
exactly.
what the actual who the three keepers going are. We're a bit indecisive as to whether it was 2 or 3 keepers actually having to go. But in terms of the keepers,
all managers do 3, and it really annoys me.
You have to question why there is 3. It's just a wasted position.
No team has ever needed all 3 goalies. It's always
Okay, so who would you bring? Who's your 2? If we're picking 2, if you're picking 2, that's good conversation because you have to knock out the other one. What's the most realistic?
That's the thing. It has to be Pope and Pickford because Pickford performs at an international level. He hasn't let down England yet, but he's been inconsistent in the league, and that's what I would go for fucking Henderson at the end of the day. Like, simple as. It has to be Pope and Henderson for me. I know Pope and Pickford, if it was 2...
yeah. But if we were knocking one off, you would... I would completely agree. I would knock Pickford off. His form in the league is...
I like Pickford.
I'm not gonna lie.
I feel sorry for him. He's little.
Yeah, he's got good
like
energy.
his energy as well, And Pickford, he gets in fights. He brings that that gritty element. He's got that, he's got that more reliable. What's his name? Hart. He's got that heart energy, but he hasn't done.
I feel like when we went to Russia, he would have fit in perfectly. Pickford would have fit in perfectly with the hooligans, and he is there to bring the passion. Whereas bringing the actual skill, I don't know if he lives up to it. And to give Pope or Henderson the chance would probably be the better option. But we all know Southgate loves a bit of Pickford. Yeah. Tom, you love Pickford?
He does, yeah.
Well, everything's so much more exciting when he plays because, even if it's an easy save, he's got an extra 4 inches to dive because of his little arms. Like that 90. Can you remember against Columbia in the last World Cup in the 90th minute?
Of course. Someone
had a strike from about 32 yards out, and Pickford tapped around the post, and it looked amazing. He just got fingertips to it. Any other keeper. And it would have just been a standard tap around the post, but because it was Pickford,
he makes that position exciting for sure. He makes that exciting.
It's not what we need for our heart rates when we're actually watching. But in terms of him being a fun keeper, he's like the funny uncle. Okay, so in terms of the defenders, we've all come to somewhat of an agreement. Trent's in there, Maguire, Stones after the seasons he's had. I mean, he's obviously come from probably not being the first option to now being probably the first option. He's a ball playing centre back, probably works well. The real question is whether Southgate's going to stick with playing 3 at the back.
Because he originally went for 4-3-3, and now it seems to be 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 or something. So
I mean, last time around he was using Walker as a centre back, a speedy centre back, wasn't he? So which actually worked quite well because Walker's got a bit of a build to him, and he's got the pace, and that kind of works in that position. I'd rather him there than at right wing back, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, he's played that position for City like very often, nearly every other week or whatever. So like Walker definitely has to be 100%. There because, you know, he can play right back and play right back well, which he probably wouldn't do in England, but he can play centre back and give him that option if they're playing a free, you know. So no doubt about
he's on
him,
the plane.
Probably,
he's on the plane.
He's not
on Tom's plane. What, Tom?
Oh,
why
really?
is he not on your plane? Who's pipped him to the post there?
Well, I've only gone for 2 right backs. I don't want to play 3 at the back, and you can't play Walker in a.
Did you?
We got 2.
Who is it? Wan-Bissaka.
I've picked Wan-Bissaka and Trent as my 2 right backs, not Reece James. Reece James is struggling to even get in the Chelsea team at the minute. I think if you're going on the plane,
I agree.
You got to start for your team. You've got to start for your team.
I agree.
Week in, week out, and Reece James at the minute is struggling to even get in the Chelsea team. Cesar Azpilicueta is getting over him.
That's down to Tuchel being like a weird European guy. Like he started bloody. What's his name? You know, the
Marcus
guy.
Alonso.
Exactly, not Marcus Alonso, the guy that is only good at knocking people over in his car or whatever. Like he's just, I don't know. Like it's one of those things where I think Reece James has the ability. He's very raw. Realistically, he's not going to play if he goes out there, but he is a player that will be there in 4 years. Reece James
is a great great player in his position, but at the moment, like you say, he's not starting for the team, and Tuchel's choosing to play Hudson-Odoi at right wing back over James. Despite James being the player he is, where he has got that attacking talent, he actually does bomb way forward, but he's still choosing to use Hudson-Odoi. What's wrong there? Who knows? I don't know.
There's one left back who I think has been absolutely overlooked all season by Southgate. For the last few years, actually. He's only got 1 England cap, but I'd have him starting at left back for England, and that is Aaron Cresswell. This season, played 26 games. No left back who is English has gotten more clean sheets than him this season. He's got 9. 6 assists, 7 big chances created. Great set piece taker, might I add. Yeah, I'd take Aaron Cresswell and I'd start him. England have got great right-footed set piece takers, but you need an in-swinging corner from the right. Aaron Cresswell on the left.
I agree, mate. He almost.
Have you got Shaw in that team? Have you got?
Yeah, Luke Shaw's on the bench. He's on the bench.
Interesting.
He's on the bench. Okay. Cresswell starts over him.
It's interesting.
I mean, I like Luke Shaw as well, though. That's the thing. I think Luke Shaw's had a cracking season. I'd have him starting. Chilwell's the only one I wouldn't take. I wouldn't be asked for Chilwell at all. I think he looked a bit shaky for Chelsea this season at times. He's not looked that confident. Last season at Leicester, I'd take him. If he's playing like he played at Leicester, I'd take him.
To be fair, the longevity of Cresswell and Shaw this season has outshone Chilwell by a mile. To be fair, because look at the position United and West Ham are in. But Tom, tell us why you've got Smalling on your flight.
So you want players that play for top clubs. England defenders, you got Stones and Maguire. Then you look for any other English defenders at top clubs who can play centre back, and there's no one. There's people like Tyrone Mings at Villa. I think he's prone to a mistake. I don't trust him. So is Smalling.
True.
But then you look at Smalling's stats this season, okay? He's played 12 games for Roma. They've lost twice, and they've won 9. He got injured at the start.
They're having a killer
this
season.
month. He picked up a little knock, so he's not played for 4 games, of which they've lost 2. So in the whole season, when he was playing, they lost 2. And then in 4 games without him,
that's incredible.
They lost 2.
It's true, but I just discredit his ability in that league because of how bad he was, and he played consistently for Man United for like 8 years and never had 1 performance, 2 performances that I can remember. He was top level. And he's played for England, of course. He's got that English experience, but when you're playing in a farmers league, at the end of the day, like half of the league wouldn't make it into the Premier League. Half of the league is just nowhere near Sheffield United level, I think.
They're the only 2 that I think have positions nailed on. My other centre back you thought was a bit odd as well, I believe.
That was
Craig Dawson.
Yeah, Dawson is a very obscure choice. Tell us why you've chose Dawson.
All right,
mate.
okay. So West Ham have obviously been in great form in 2021. The start of the season weren't even that great. Craig Dawson made his first league start for them on December 29th. Yeah. Since then, he's played 11 games. He's kept 5 clean sheets and scored 2 goals. They've only lost twice since he starting, and that was to Liverpool and City. And they've won 7 of those, and then they've drawn the other 2. So Craig Dawson has been absolutely key for West Ham. I think he's an absolute, like, even if you don't start him, you bring him on late in the game, we get a set piece. That man is a monster in the air. He's terrifying. Yeah. And also the element of surprise, because no one will have a fucking clue who he is. Like, who is this? It's the intern. No, it's Craig Dawson.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Completely understandable.
Oh, and, yeah, I think he's an absolute machine.
If he were to be our John Obi Mikel, or I don't know, other players who came on and solidified the game, then so be it. That would be an honest choice.
Craigie, yeah, he's a big man.
Let's move on to the midfield, and I think we were all in pretty much complete agreement with the midfield. Were we?
Yeah, I think we all put Jesse Lingard, which is quite odd.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest talking point, really, isn't it? Jesse Lingard coming out the blocks. I read something about him saying the previous lockdown was all about him becoming a better version of himself, and that's really like classic lockdown 1. Everyone started running, everyone was getting fit. But as a professional footballer, that's probably your best opportunity to really like have another go, have another bite. And especially Jesse Lingard, he thinks he's a 21-year-old. He's, what is he, 27, 28 now?
We all think he's a 21-year-old, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I read somewhere he really tried to get back into better shape and really pushed himself. So it's no surprise that he actually when he got the move to West Ham, he's actually come out the blocks absolutely shining, and he's looking like one of their best players.
Since he's joined, played 5 games, scored 3, assisted 2. West Ham have only scored 9 goals. Well, they've scored 9 goals since he's joined. So he's he's contributed for 5 of those. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, he's been so crucial to their success.
I think it's important to talk about his influence off the pitch as well. Like, he seems like an experienced head. He's been to tournaments before. He's been in that dressing room. He's been to cup finals. He's been in important games. He's had influences from some of the best English players of all time. He's been through the academy, and, you know, as well as that, like, off the pitch, he seems like the sort of guy you want in that camp. You know, he's going to be there. Like, he, in my opinion, has coached all of this United all of the United players that have come through now. He's been that guardian, and he's been that guy that makes sure that they're okay. He's like a happy-go-lucky sort of person. I think that's important in, like, a pressured environment at the end of the day. You know, he can come on and change games, but he can also improve the atmosphere of the camp if things aren't going well, or, you know, when things are going well, he's the man for the job, you know.
I mean, people love to You go.
He's the polar opposite of Roy Keane.
Yeah.
He's literally the polar opposite.
People love to take the piss out of him, but, like, players seem to love him. Like, you just see that weird celebration West Ham were doing the other day when they're all a band and loving it.
Got the whole squad
and that was
going.
definitely Jesse Lingard that organised that. Like,
exactly.
Yeah,
like,
it's great to see.
How can he come into a West Ham at a Christmas break and have that much influence on a dressing room? It kind of shows that, like, this is a guy that means more than what he does on the pitch, and he's performing on the pitch. So, yeah, he's
And some people, like I said in my last video, like some people like him kind of need to be the big fish in the small pond. Not that West Ham are a small pond, but you don't want to be outshone by someone, and he looks like he's kind of taken that position at West Ham where he can be the showboat, and he looks like he thrives in that position. I don't know if he would be the same in the England team, but he's got enough of a big personality to have that impression on the whole lads, and they all seem like they're all in a good enough clique to get on, so it would definitely be a positive bringing him on the plane, so to speak.
If England were to do a midfield 3, who would you have in the midfield?
I would personally have Rice, Henderson, Maddison.
I think I'd just substitute Rice for Mount. I'd do Mount and Henderson with Maddison in the number 10 role.
Interesting, because I would substitute Rice for Grealish, because I think he can play that role. He's a box-to-box midfielder at the end of the day. I think his talents lie in him being creative, but I'd put Foden in that cam role or that sort of attacking midfield role. You know, obviously he's not experienced at an international level, but I think he is talent-wise one of the best English prospects. Simple as, like, talent-wise, he's there. Like, he's had his
Foden
time
is
of
the
just
future.
sitting on the sides and playing every other like game. Now, I think he's got the ability to go there and play and be in that role at the end of the day. You know.
Oh, I just think Maddison's slightly better than him at the minute. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like Maddison.
True.
Maddison can pick. He's got better strikes from range as well. Like England late on in a game, Maddison can have a little moment of magic. And yeah, I start Maddison.
I would completely agree that I would start Maddison. I don't know if Leicester's form at the moment might kind of affect the idea of him starting over someone like Mount, where he's hard working and everyone seems to only be able to position him in the more forward of the three of the midfield. And you can see like Lampard preferred him, and we know Southgate being quite a defensive minded person, I could see him probably doing like a Rice, Henderson, Mount trio in midfield.
Dyer,
which
Henderson,
sounds
Rice.
Sorry, Dyer, yeah. Nah, hopefully not. But yeah, I mean the prospect of Foden, I quite like the idea in maybe 4 years' time, but probably a lot longer than that. The dynamic trio of Rice, Foden and Mount as this dynamic trio midfield. They've got the perfect bit of everything in them. Rice being the defensive, Mount being this kind of box-to-box, hard-working, and Foden being this creative who looks like he's going to light up the whole league for the next 10 years. But in terms of attackers, we've all seemed to go for the same people. I think we can all agree that realistically, Sterling and Kane are nailed on. Sancho probably the right winger. I would personally say.
Up now, yeah.
No. Sancho, in my opinion, is nailed on. Like, I think I heard a stat, so I can't really quote it, but I heard a stat that he's the youngest Bundesliga player of all time to hit 30 goals and 30 assists or something like that.
Yeah, he is,
And
which is incredible.
He takes Muller's record or something like that, which is it's insane. Like, it's actually insane.
Gerd Muller.
Yeah, it's Gerd Muller, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that guy's records are insane.
Jesus.
He's still like 200 goals ahead of Lewandowski or something.
What would you say about Rashford? He's missed like the paint from. You don't.
He can't start, but I think he's definitely on the plane because when he plays for England, he plays well. Like he's a player that consistently plays well for England, so he has to be there. But yeah, I don't know if he starts ahead of those three. Like those three are having great seasons, and they're just
True.
They're above it.
Yeah.
They're above it.
I completely agree.
So.
I completely agree. The question I had Ings on my list originally. I've now gone for DCL because I think the stats actually don't lie. DCL has more goals per 90 minutes than any of the other England strikers, I'm pretty sure, which speaks for itself, really.
DCL doesn't do anything that Kane doesn't do. That's the thing. If you get... He does everything that Kane does, just slightly worse. If you're going to bring a sub-striker... Bring a striker that does something different. Because Kane lacks pace. Get a pacey striker, bring them along. Ollie Watkins, for example. Something like that.
That's
true. Do you reckon?
That is true, yeah.
Okay. I would probably just sub Kane for Rashford, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
DCL is just a kind of glorified Carroll for me, but we're yet to see where his talents might end up, because he seems like he's doing well, but he's also got James Rodriguez behind him this season, so, you know.
And he'd have some decent players behind him for England.
But... Yeah, 100% agree.
I think your point's right there, Tom. To be fair, you need that variation. You can't have the same sort of player as your second option, especially when it comes to like a number 10, essentially. Like
get Kane and
mate, fuck it, bring him out of retirement, mate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's so true though. It's so true.
Yeah.
Another talking point. We've all got Saka in our flights over. Talk to me about Saka.
For me, he's a left-footed winger. He'd be the only left-footed winger England have. If we bring over a whole load of right-footed wingers, it's going to become very predictable. They're just going to expect us to keep cutting it in if we're going down the left, crossing it in on the right. Saka would be a bit different if we put him on the... just confused defenders. He's got a great. I think he's the best English crosser in the game at the minute. See some of the balls he puts in for Arsenal. They're spectacular. I'd take him every day of the week.
Yeah, he does look hot, to be
sure.
fair.
He's versatile as well. Like, he can play left mid, and I mean, we won't really need him, but he can play left back at the end of the day. Like,
exactly.
He's got that above, say, maybe Greenwood, who is just an out and out striker. Maybe he's got that pace that might be a variation on Kane, but I don't really think you can take a player who's not been sensational this year when he's come on, and he's not getting consistent game time at Man United. So I don't think Greenwood does deserve to go at the end of the day over Saka anyway. Saka, he's playing consistently well against big opposition as well. Like, Saka is just Arsenal's probably best attacker this season. Well, not even probably, he is. Like,
and he's versatile, and I think that's probably why he's afforded that extra position. He's the one on the end of the list of the 23, so probably takes James Milner's position as Mr. Versatile at the end of the day.
I wouldn't even have Greenwood in my backups, really. I think he's had quite a poor season. I think a lot of people have sort of ignored it. In the Premier League, he's had 13 starts, scored 1 goal, and only assisted 1, and that 1 assist was in the 9-0 drubbing of Southampton, where I could have gotten an assist if I was playing. They'd fully given up. I think it was Bruno's goal. It was the last goal, wasn't it? And Southampton just looked bereft and fully they'd given up.
I'm pretty sure I needed Greenwood to score in that game for like 400 quid or something, which is the piss take, really.
He's played. He's played 1,100 minutes this season as well. So that's 1 goal contribution every 550 minutes in the Premier League, which is definitely not. Like, Ademola Lookman has done better than that.
Yeah, Lookman. Yeah, good shout.
Lookman out of nowhere could. I think if he has a good run towards the end of the season, he could put himself in contention.
If he has a good run, he could get on standby, I think. But yeah, Lookman does look good though. At the end of the day,
he's direct. He attacks players. You know, he gets stuck in.
Definitely.
Like
Okay, so finally we're going to move on to our starting 11s. What we're going to do here is go through each position on the list, and we're all going to come to a decision as to who we think we want to bring. Not who's actually going to come. We think who's going to suit the position the best and come to a conclusion. So, to start with, we'll go with the goalkeeper. We had a conversation about this earlier, but who would you prefer to bring, Shane?
Pope. As in, for me it's got to be Pope at the end of the day. I guess in goal, Pope. So,
start
Tom?
Pope. Yeah, Pope. Start Pope.
And I would agree. I would say start Pope. So I think that is a conclusive decision straight away. We're locking Pope in.
Fuck you, Southgate.
Okay, we'll go for left centre back. Who are we bringing?
Maguire,
yeah.
And I would say Maguire as well. Easy one.
Right,
solidifies that.
We're just going to
right centre back.
John Stones nicely.
John Stones.
John Stones, yeah.
It's got to be, isn't it, really? Yeah, I mean, I feel like Maguire and Stones pretty much solidified their position this summer. Stones, who's going to go on to win the league most likely, and Maguire being an £80 million centre back, you have to put him in. Fair enough.
Okay, let's. Joe Gomez injured. There'd be more of a discussion, I think.
Oh yeah, I think that is exactly, Tom. Exactly. I think it would have been so much more of a discussion if Gomez was involved. Okay, left back.
Cresswell.
I think we pretty much agreed with this last time. Who are we going for, Tom?
I went for Aaron Cresswell, and then you two I assume are going to go with Luke Shaw.
I mean,
Luke Shaw.
I personally would be going with Luke Shaw. Aaron Cresswell is an outsider's opinion. If he actually makes it on the plane, I'll give you a $5 because that's a great shout.
Me too. I'm happy to pay you a $5.
Yeah, because it's a great shout, and the stats you brought up and the season West Ham are having, he deserves to be in the he deserves to be in contention for being on the plane.
When I was looking him up, there were like 0 articles about him even deserving a shot, which I found ridiculous. Cause,
really?
Well, players like Calvin Phillips last season, when he was still in the Championship with Leeds, was getting call-ups, and Aaron Cresswell the season's had definitely deserves some sort of.
No, yeah, you're right. You are right. But like I say, I think me and Shane agree, and that locks it in for the left back position.
Yeah.
Right backs. This gets a bit interesting, to be fair.
Ooh.
Who are we saying, Tom? Who are we saying?
Trent, just about pips Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. I think I have to agree with you. Trent. It pains
I
me
would
to
have
say
to
it,
agree
but
as well.
Yeah, Trent, I guess.
Not defensively, but also because he's probably I would put him in there because he's a winner and he's got experience in like finals. Wan-Bissaka defensively is probably superior, but when you're on the pitch as well and you're in that position, like Trippier was last season, where you can take a free kick, Trent can take a free kick, and I guess it's what you need, isn't
I
it?
think it's important not to have 3 Manchester United defenders in the defense, because you know.
Yeah. You would. Yeah, there would be a lot of hate towards them if something went wrong. Okay, so we'll lock Trent into the back four. So that's the back four complete. If we go with a holding midfielder, who are we going for, Tom?
Henderson.
Yep, I agree. Henderson has to be bolted on.
I would put Henderson just a bit more forward, or in the same position, 2 holding midfielders. But I would put Rice there. Is Rice in your trio of midfields?
No, not quite. He's not there yet for me.
That's fair enough. Then Henderson gets locked into
Doesn't
that
add
position.
enough attacking wise.
Again, Henderson is in my midfield 3, so Henderson is locked in that position. Who are we putting as what? So what are we saying now? We're the box-to-box midfielder. Who are we putting there?
Mason Mount for me.
Mason Mount for me as well.
I would say Grealish. I mean, in my opinion, Grealish is better. But yeah, and I guess ultimately it is going to be Mason Mount. Like, Waistcoat has got a hard on for Mason Mount. So.
All managers do. It's really weird.
All managers do. Okay, so we'll lock in Mount in that box-to-box. Who are we going for the attacking midfielder?
Maddison for me.
I think everyone has to agree. It's Maddison, isn't it? He's looking like the perfect attacking midfielder, really.
Oh yeah.
From what we've said earlier and what was said, I guess Maddison kind of has to take it. Like, he really is the guy that plays consistently and is coming into the sort of form that means he is England's best centre attacking mid, I guess. Yeah. So yeah.
Leicester just look awful without him. I think that's how you sort of tell how good a player he is sometimes. When they get injured, how much the team drop off, and Leicester have just looked horrible without him. I mean, Tielemans is carrying that team in a minute.
Yeah, I agree.
It's nothing without him.
Okay, yeah, we can quite easily lock him in then. I'm going to go with striker next because the other 2 positions are a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
This is quite an obvious one, isn't it? He's nailed it in before the tournament's even started because he's Mr. Capitano. That's Harry Kane,
Connor
isn't
Wickham.
it, really?
I mean, yeah.
Kane's captain, so he gets that position. We don't even have to talk about that. Right mid or right wing even. Who are we putting there?
It's Sancho. It has to be Sancho, I think. I think it's there's a bit of discussion, but I don't think too much.
Foden on the wing. I was thinking of the other day because Pep plays him out there and he plays just fine. Yeah. So I think if Sancho was going to be competing with anyone there for me, it'd be Phil Foden. But I think
and that's what I feel like Sterling is doing at the left side because I feel like Grealish has kind of made that left wing his own. He's not quite as speedy, but we're overloading that creativeness on that side of the pitch if we were to use Maddison and Grealish.
Yeah.
I can't see it happening, but yeah. So I would choose Sancho on the right wing as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
We didn't see a lot of him, to be fair, in an England shirt, but because a couple of years ago or a year ago or whenever he kind of burst into the England team, I can remember everyone sitting down and actually watching it with a bit of like intention to see how good this kind of kid really is.
Because you don't see a lot of him in England, do you? Because I mean, it's Bundesliga.
I can remember sitting down with my dad and him going, "Oh, go on then, let's have a watch of what he can actually do." Because like you say, no one actually watches the Bundesliga. I mean, I do sometimes, but finally, let's get to the left wing position. This is up for debate, I guess. Who would you put, Shane?
I'm gonna have to go for Sterling. I mean, he kind of goes sort of talked about, but like he's having a great season at City at the end of the day.
Is he actually playing well for City this season?
He's playing quite well. 9 goals, I think, so far.
He's scoring goals, and I think like creatively and energy wise, I think he's an important player at City. And he does perform for England. I mean, hopefully he's learnt from not squaring the ball to Kane in the semi.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, last year for England, I think he played 8 times and scored 9 goals. So, like, for England, he's absolutely cracking. He had a really slow start. He didn't score for about, I think it was 3 years. It took him to score his first England goal, but now he's gotten going.
But I think Pep kind of got him into that idea of being the player he actually is ought to be. Like, Pep really got him in the mindset that he is a winner and he is going to achieve. And that's good for England's sake.
Exactly, yeah. And he's every season he's kind of improved. But I think when it comes to like anybody other than him, I think Grealish is in with a shout. But Marcus Rashford, when he plays on the left for England and for United, he is sick. Like, he's fully sick. Like, on his day, I think he's better than Sterling on his day, but his day comes every 4 games, 5 games, you know?
Yeah.
So that's probably why Sterling maybe pips it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm pretty sure if Rashford came on in a semi-final and scored the winner, he would get a knighthood. Like,
that's
the whole
all
country.
he needs.
That would be
He'd become a Labour candidate for the next election.
Okay, yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, Waistcoat's obviously going to pick Sterling. I personally would see Grealish on that side, but like you say, Grealish could play in any position. So
Grealish for me, if he starts, I won't be disappointed. Like, he's a great
exactly.
player.
He
wouldn't
exactly.
be in my 11, but if I saw him starting, it wouldn't be like Eric Dier starting, or if I saw.
We're in this position where, like, with the team that starts, if someone played in the other position, if someone replaced someone in a position, you wouldn't be disappointed. I don't think.
That's a nice position to be in.
And that's saying that's saying something. It's a nice position to be in because you didn't have that before. I don't think.
Definitely not.
When you go from like Rio getting replaced by Wes Brown, I mean, you might have a different opinion.
When Heskey was on the plane to 2010 World Cup, Ricky Lambert went to 2014 World Cup. Let's not forget that.
Ricky Lambert, there you go.
Lambert was sick, to be fair, for England. I mean, I think he played 2 or 3 games or whatever, but he scored nearly every game.
So yeah, we're going Sterling on the left wing. Yeah, and I guess that wraps it up. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. We've gone through who we would want to bring in the starting 11, and we've gone through who we'd bring on the plane, or not so much the plane because it's going to be based in England. But we've got our 23-man squad. I think what we'll do is once the actual squad is, once the squad is released, we'll come back and we'll have a chat about it and compare our team and our squad to who was actually selected. Because hopefully Southgate's not going to bring Dyer and be a bit more creative with his picks. But yeah, that's all I have to say for this video. Tom?
Yeah, hopefully Harrison Reed goes. And I'll be a happy boy. Harrison Reed and Elbert Jayez and Craig Dawson are going to bring that World Cup home. Come on, England!
Come on, England!
Yeah, it was a nice chat. Interesting. I mean, I'm pretty excited for it. I'm pretty sure all of my picks are going to be wrong, but, you know, I'm excited for it. It's coming home.
Look, there's a lot more, hopefully, from us. We've got a few things in the works, so stay tuned. If you like what you see here, this is only the beginning. A lot more chats to come. Hope you enjoyed. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.